Everybody, James Bullion, Director of Adult Social Services. Thanks very much for having me along again. Don't mind if I adjust that.
No, it's good.
I do play in a band, so as you can tell. So thanks for having me along. I'm the Director of Adult Social Services for Norfolk. I've met many of you before, but not all of you. So I'm here to give a bit of a perspective on how things look from the County Council's point of view, and to start off with a few national perspectives as well. I also am the Vice President of N&SCS at the moment, and going to become the President next year. So I do get a bit of an in actually on some of the national conversations going on around social services and social care. And then I want to cover some of the commissioning structure that we've established in the County Council. Some of you may be familiar with that already, but I've got a structure chart and a bit of a description of what we're trying to achieve with that. Then a little bit about the Care Association work that we've been doing together to establish that, and what our ambitions might be for that together. I've got a couple of slides on market pricing and the process that we're going to go through over the autumn for next year, and then a couple of slides on technology and what might be some of the opportunities in working together on that. And then finally the social care recruitment campaign. So quite a lot to get through in a reasonably short period of time. So I'll take questions at the end, if that's all right, Christine. So in terms of the national picture, I mean, in one way, I've said this before here to these meetings, in one way it's quite good. We are kind of near the top of the political agenda. We're not the top, but we are pretty near as a sector, for mainly negative reasons, for not having solved, as it were, the social care question about what the model is for provision and how you might fund it. But nonetheless, I get a perception from national conversations that actually government are going to have another go at trying to fund social care. So we have had the Green Paper. It's been delayed a record 13 times since it was originally conceived. But I now get, and not for tweeting, and I know it's on film, but not for broadcasting too readily, I get the perception now that government are trying to have one last push in this government for a proposal for adult social care. And I'm trying to influence that nationally, and part of that influence that I'm pushing and that care providers associations are pushing nationally is a workforce element that includes decent wages and proper regulation and an acknowledgement that social care work is of value, and trying to minimise the impact of forthcoming other political changes. So we may get a Green Paper in the next few weeks, or we may get further proposals that relate to more of a kind of white paper approach, actual proposals rather than a discussory paper. We've also had the government announce that there is a 1-year spending review. So we should have a 3-year spending review, but because of the national political situation, that's not been possible. But we have got a signal that by the end of September, a 1-year spending review will have been undertaken. So you probably know from your own national bodies and from us nationally in local government and in ADAS, we have been really clear about what the gap is in adult social services. We're saying there is an immediate need for at least £2.5 billion of additional funding. We don't know how that will pan out, but we know that something should happen this year. What it will be, whether it will be us all as citizens paying more council tax or a social care precept, not quite sure. Whether it will be straightforward grant funding, or whether it will be linked to our work with the NHS, not really sure about any of that, but we're pretty certain that in the 1-year spending review, the social care question won't have gone away and will be under some political pressure. I think there is a good national understanding of the issue of workforce, given the campaign that was run earlier in the year, and given the various documents that have been produced, either from Skills for Care or from the care associations nationally. So I think there's a pretty good understanding of what the wage problem is and what the level of recruitment and retention gap is for our sector. There isn't, I don't think, acceptance of a parity with the NHS, if I'm honest with you, but we make this case, and I would make a case for saying that actually when we're thinking about careers and where people want to work and where people want to go, we need to be absolutely looking at what's happening in the social care sector as well as what's happening in the NHS and how people think about that. And I don't need to tell you that, you know that already. There is, I think, an expectation now nationally in the long-term plan for the NHS for integration to accelerate between health and social care and between housing, health and social care. And I don't know what you perceive, but what I perceive with the NHS is they feel more sighted now on our sector and its consequence on hospitals and its consequence on primary care and keeping people independent at home in a way that perhaps they haven't been before, and they're less sniffy about the market or the notion of the market, although I think the idea of the NHS being a marketplace itself is practically gone away and probably will go away legislatively in terms of their own procurement of health services. Don't treat on that, but that's my reading of it. But at least there is a greater acceptance now, I think, amongst the NHS of how the social care system works in terms of the range of providers, which is a good thing. There's also a national focus on technology, and I'll come on to say more about that. And in the past year has been dominated in national conversations by the fragility of the market because of the experience of allied healthcare and because of the, what would you call it, the national financing concerns over several large providers, including Four Seasons, for example. So that's what's happening nationally. I mean, locally, I guess you know most of this, so I won't dwell on the facts and figures in our market position statement, but we are a significant part of Norfolk, and care is a significant part of East Anglia. You know, we are bigger, aren't we, than fisheries. We are bigger than tourism. We are bigger than agriculture. You know, we are a significant economic part of our community. We have the benefit of these numbers showing that we have a growing market for care. And my ambition as director is to work with you to grow in line, not just with demography, but with choice as well. And you know, what the numbers mean for the workforce is, at one level, quite extraordinary, really. You know, we have as many people working in the social care sector.
I'm sure we'll be getting copies of these.
You will, yes. Yeah, sorry, John, I should have said that at the beginning, yeah. Certainly copies of these circulated. So at 27,000, we're as big in social care as we are in the NHS, aren't we? So, you know, we have a big workforce, but we also have this problem of the turnover of our workforce. You know, vacancies at least 10% and turnover around 30%. And having done the campaign, which I'll come on to, the second campaign that's coming, now having done that, I think we've highlighted this issue. We are still rather stuck in the kind of Radio 4 Today programme mode of it's all terrible and nothing good is happening out there, which I think we as the sector need to promote more of a positive image, because there's lots of positivity going on, there's lots of really excellent care. We have painted for ourselves a crises picture about our sector and about our workforce, but nonetheless we do have a problem, I think, which we would all acknowledge. So can I come on to the commissioning structure? And I don't know how many of you have any contact with commissioners. Anyone admit to having conversations or? Yeah, John has, a few of you have. Yeah. So you might be aware already that we recruited Gary Heathcote as the Director of Commissioning to support me in managing the commissioning services. And for some years now, Norfolk have had an integrated approach to commissioning with the local CCGs. And we've had a model that you might sort of broadly summarise as a lead commissioner in every area of Norfolk's 5 health areas, health and social care areas, and she or he has been responsible for integration with the NHS and at the same time leading an aspect of county-wide commissioning, like commissioning for home support or residential care. And then over here we've had a quality team and a quality assurance approach. And then over here we've had some specialists. So what we've done now is to create this structure, which is where we've gone back to a rather sort of traditional, if I might use that word, approach to separating out the work we need to do with the NHS into a dedicated joint arrangement. And up here we've got a lead for social care, health and partnerships. And I don't think I can reveal the names of the people, can I? Just making sure I don't slip up there. But so we've been in recruitment recently to that assistant director role, and she or he will essentially lead the relationship with the NHS and the council. And then we focused more on what I might call functional areas or categories of care that we're going to commission. So running from left to right, a focus on mental health, separated from a focus on learning disability and autism, and we've got much stronger commissioning in that area. Accommodation, we've, over the past year and a half, been really clear about the extent to which we need more accommodation as part of our care offer. So you'll have seen the launch of our Living Well Homes strategy, where we're trying to build 3,000 additional extra care houses for older people. We've got a dedicated programme for younger people of about 100 a year of new accommodation that we need to bring forwards. And that function will also look at residential care in relation to housing and so on. And it will link much more strongly with the local councils. And then we've got community commissioning, domiciliary care, or day opportunities as a category. And then we've got a specific role looking at our business partnerships. So the council's care companies, the council's internal services, to make sure that they are commissioned properly. And then finally, we brought into commissioning our brokerage service, so the way of arranging care. And those are the areas of functional work. I would like strong engagement between the commissioning team and yourselves, and strong engagement between the commissioning team and service users and families. So we have this conversation going on about what does good care look like. From the point of view of quality, so we have significantly enhanced, as part of this, the formal quality assurance role within the council to work in partnership with yourselves about quality. And you might have seen, we took our annual quality assurance report to the council's cabinet in the last couple of weeks with a strong ambition of trying to improve quality, hold ourselves to account, hold yourselves to account, and actually hold CQC to account for the support that they give us. And I have organised a meeting with CQC to come to Norfolk to have a bit more of a conversation here about what are we going to do to strengthen the support that they give to us in improving quality. Happy to have a further conversation about commissioning. We've got both Tim here and Lucy who can do some of that. In terms of the Care Association, I'm really pleased about the partnership work that we've been doing over the past year to bring this about. I have high ambitions and expectations about the new association, representing yourselves and being a partner to ourselves, but also negotiating as well. We're absolutely committed to making this work. I think that Norfolk's been through a period of where it's been a bit chugging along, really, and with some obviously some history. So I hope that it provides a forum not just for the kind of mechanics of partnership working, but also models of good practice, an improvement approach, a support approach, wider than just talking about contracts and money and the things that we need to talk about. So I'd be interested in your views about what you think we should be doing there. In terms of market pricing itself, I guess you might know most of this already, so apologies if I'm covering ground that you already had conversations about. But obviously from our point of view, stability, tackling the care desert. So I don't know if anyone saw that report that came out from Age UK. Norfolk is one of the 7 care deserts that they've identified. So market stability and affordability are the key concerns that we have. We've obviously commenced the cost of care review in 2018 in 2 stages. We've still got the adult care part of that outstanding and still more work to do. We've done the usual annual price increase this year, something like 7.9 million councillors are committed to put into the market in addition. And I have to say, your lobbying and my working with the members has been effective. Every year they have given me the figure that I've needed to increase prices by. That's not a guarantee that they'll always do that in the future, but I think you individually and through the association, I'm sure, will make your voices heard about the need for that to happen because of the pressures that are on you as providers. I think we need to have a consistent message between us that goes not just locally but to our MPs. I don't think the battle is quite won with government until I see the actual dollars in our accounts and in your accounts. We need to keep pressing this issue about where do we want to go with care services and how do we want to make sure that the voice of people and the voice of providers is heard. Obviously, we have the usual expectations around working together on efficiency, working together on the right models of care, making sure that we've got an independence model at the heart of what we're doing, and that we come from the point of view of service users first in care plans and so on. And I think there's a further opportunity for us to think about how do we work together on integration. I don't know to what degree you feel involved in the conversation we're having with the NHS about integrated health and social care, the whole debate around continuing healthcare versus social care funding and how that happens with the continuing care partnership in Norfolk. I think we need to come closer together, perhaps through the Care Association, for conversations about that. And then finally, on technology. So nationally, there is a kind of push on this. As you've seen, Matt Hancock, the Secretary of State for Health and Social Care, very keen on this. You probably will have seen that already. Nationally, they recognise that this is partly about infrastructure and it's partly about the services themselves in digital being relevant and being understood by providers and by councils. It is fundamentally about, though, innovation and making sure that that kind of mindset drives technology, so that we don't do technology for its own sake, we do it because it's leading to something better. And underpinning all of that, obviously, we've got to have the skills and the culture of wanting to do this, but also the capability to do it, and not, being sold moon dust or not doing things because it's the fashion to do it. I think we have to build that kind of thing together on this. I'd be interested in your views, but it seems to me that technology have got the potential to change some of the content of what we do, but probably not the core of it, which is about people and relationships and personal care. So I'm not suggesting for a moment that robots will come and replace carers, but the technology about people's care plans and planning, the technology around monitoring people and situations should make a difference. And this is a genuine question really about how can we engage with a conversation with yourselves about that in terms of the customers that we're serving and yourselves as providers. We've begun the process, but I think we need a forum, we need a way of having this conversation. We don't lack for opportunities, as you will see. Other than the kind of knowledge buried in those documents, you've also got various initiatives now going on, regionally and nationally, actually. So the New Anglia LEP and 3 examples on here in our area, significant amounts of money to develop. Potentially, those are prods from a national point of view, but potentially, actually, we've got the capacity ourselves to do some of this stuff. A lot of it is capital intensive, and capital is not always our problem. Revenue is more of an issue. I don't say it's easy, but there is a lot of potential for taking an investment type of approach. But I'll be interested in how you perceive those opportunities. And then finally, the recruitment campaign is plans are afoot to repeat the campaign that we had at the beginning of the year. Every day is different. I've been privileged to have a look at some of the draft materials which we've been getting feedback on. The results were positive. So nationally, 1 in 4 care staff surveyed reported an increase in inquiries. So, interviews or vacancies filled or inquiries, I don't think we have the final kind of outtake of hard numbers on what happened in our area, but we've got an indication that nationally it did make a difference. I'd be interested in your views on that. The campaign is coming again. We've got our infrastructure set up around Norfolk Care Careers, but we can choose to, and we have an opportunity, I think, to kind of augment what's happening nationally with a local flavour. And it's really important that we do that. Last year we were sort of not taken by surprise, but we had a PR company, didn't we? I've forgotten the name of them now, but they were, classic PR. And for them, the event was the thing, organising this event where we had a launch, which was very slick and all the rest of it. And we did get some of our own talking and being interviewed on the radio and stuff. And that's all very well and good, but actually it's the kind of grinding campaign underneath that will really make the difference, won't it, in terms of the numbers. So I'll be pleased to work with yourselves on that when we get to it. And I can't remember the date when it's coming. Is it September or October?
I don't think I've seen an actual start date.
No, I haven't seen the start.
I'm waiting for that, but it will be towards...
I think it's in the later end of autumn, where they're thinking about stuff.
Can I just take the opportunity, James?
Yes.
Helen's here, who will be leading this work for the County Council. So I'm going to really embarrass her and I'm going to stand up so you know who the person is who will be leading that national piece in the local context. So
thanks, Lucy. So that's it from me, I think.